Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Saban, so to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. We give you guys the first perspective on things and how we see them. So today we have a very, very serious show here for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, be sure to sign up to our free newsletter called Champions Digest. We have it pinned in the comments below. It's absolutely free, and we'll appreciate if you guys supported us. So now let's get on with this show. I know some people are like, damn, Charles, again, another political video. I'm sick of it. Hey, man, just allow me to express myself from time to time, folks. Okay? 90% of the content, 95% of the content that we produce is NBA content. People seem to enjoy the NBA content, but once in a while, just want to, talk about some things that I find interesting. Now, the last video we did was kind of reacting to the comments that Joy Reid had to make about Stephen A. Smith. I don't know where in that video I said that I was a fan of Joy Reid or a supporter of hers. I don't know where I said that. All I did was make a video with her responding to the comments that Stephen A. Smith made after she was fired by MSNBC. That was, somehow people took it and ran him in an entirely different direction and just decided to just blow it up into something big or whatever. Anyway, to this subject here. Folks, we are living in contentious times, right? We're living in contentious times. Donald Trump and his administration, they are full throttle with their agendas. They're not apologetic about it. They don't care who they offend. They don't care who they piss off, and their supporters are 100% down with them. I listen to commentators that are liberal, conservative. I follow liberal pages on Instagram, conservative pages on it, just to hear what people are saying, what people think. Whenever various updates come out, you get to hear what various people along the political aisle think about various issues, just to give me a more holistic understanding of what people think out there. But one of the major things that is looming over the head of the Republican Party, but especially this administration, is the upcoming midterm elections, right? It carries a lot of weight, right? It carries a lot of weight because if the Democrats take control of the House or the Senate, you're going to witness a drastic change. Some people are already speculating that they're going to impeach the president and they're going to undo a lot of the things that the president did and just make it absolutely impossible for him to get any of his agenda done. Like this is what a lot of people think. But there's one particular person that feels like the ramifications of the Democrats winning in the midterm are even more serious than just them blocking the president or taking control of the Senate and all. This particular person thinks that there could be some severe ramifications. And the person that I'm talking about is Steve Bannon, right? Obviously, all of you guys know who Steve Bannon is. And he recently made some comments about the Republicans in Indiana rejecting the redistricting efforts out there, and he's beginning to sound the alarm. So for those of you who didn't hear what Steve Bannon had to say, I want to play his comments for you now, and I want to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen in here.
Something's got to change here. This is a huge defeat today for the president of the United States, and somebody's got to be straight with the president and saying, look, people think that you're an easy target now. And people in the White House get paid to make sure these types of things don't happen. It's just not acceptable. This was a blowout. You can't look at it any other way. And I realize people are misleading people, but let's be honest. This ain't Tallahassee or Albany. This is Indianapolis, okay? If you can't handle it in Indianapolis, you're not going to be able to handle it. There has to be people around the president in the White House drawing a paycheck have got to wake up, okay? We got to wake up. I don't want to hear you were lied to. Okay, this is the National Football League. You got to know when you're getting a misrepresent. When they're working behind the scenes. There's enough information out there right now. President Trump can't get his confirmations done. We had another debacle in the House today on I think this union thing. About 20 Republicans in revolt. There's got to be penalties for this. People need to start to fear the president of the United States. Hell, they fear him in the Ukraine and in Europe. They're fearing him in the Middle East. They fear him down in Venezuela. We ought to start making sure they're fearing him in the capitals of these states where they're going against the redistricting for these fair districts. And we ought to make sure that the Republican Party starts to fear him in Washington, D.C., or this thing is going to spin into a total and complete debacle. We've already got a big enough fight against the Democrats and the deep state and what they're doing to fight folks trying to sort out the mess in Minneapolis and in Chicago and New York as they refuse to back any deportation of these illegal alien invaders. And the Republican establishment, I've said this for a while, they think they can wait Trump out. He's just a passing summer storm. And the Elise Stefanik's and all the people who support him are just going to fade away. And MAGA's going to return and just vote for the Bush agenda.
So you heard what he had to say, right? You heard what he had to say. He believes that this is an issue that the president should be taken very, very seriously. When the president was asked about this in the White House, he kind of gave a nonchalant answer, like, well, I wasn't really campaigning for those guys there. It's not such a big deal. And Bannon believes, like, no, it's a very big deal. It's a very, very big deal. And I want to get into the sound of why he thinks this is a big deal. But before we even get into that, I want to play some of the reaction from what took place in Indiana and why some of the Republicans decided to defy the president, because I think it's important that people understand where these people were coming from by them essentially saying, no, we're not going to help with the gerrymandering, and you're on your own, Mr. President. Take a listen to what they had to say here.
President Trump's push to redraw congressional maps in Republicans' favor hit a major roadblock in Indiana yesterday. More than 20 Indiana Republican state senators joined Democrats to vote against a plan that would likely have created 2 new GOP seats in the U.S. House. Our congressional correspondent Lisa Desjardins has more.
After the vote in Indiana, President Trump made clear he wants political consequences for the perceived lack of loyalty. Here's how he responded to NewsHour's Liz Landers.
I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that. You had one gentleman, the head of the Senate, I guess, Bray, whatever his name is. I heard he was against it. He'll probably lose his next primary, whenever that is. I hope he does, but because he's done a tremendous disservice. I'll certainly support anybody that wants to go against him.
One of those Republicans who voted to block the maps is Indiana Senator Mike Boachek, and he joins me now. Senator, you voted no, but others of your fellow Republicans, a smaller group, supported the president's move. Here's what one of them said.
When your house is on fire, you don't worry about whether or not you're traditionally holding the hose the right way. You do whatever it takes to put out the fire.
That's a political argument. Why did you disagree? Why were you right? Why did you vote no?
Sure. We had 19 members that felt very strongly that we should move forward with this, and we had 21 of my caucus mates that also felt, as did I, that this is more than just a transactional one-time vote. If we're going to do this once, then are we now going to be doing this every 2 years with every new administration? And we don't treat policy that's this substantive in a transactional basis. And that's kind of how I felt. It was feeling like we're just doing this at the whim of a president who's concerned that perhaps he might be underwater in the upcoming elections. And it was just bad policy. I had some personal reasons as well, and I've certainly stipulated those. But from a policy perspective, it's just bad policy.
I want to talk about those personal reasons as well. The president and his team put a lot of pressure on you. His rhetoric has had a number of effects. One thing he posted on Facebook at one point was he used a slur, retarded. I know that's something that affected you. You are also being affected by threats right now. Where are you staying? Where is your family? And what's the president's responsibility for bringing down the rhetoric right now?
Well, what's interesting is he hasn't brought the tone down, which I was kind of surprised about. And it seems like it's just kind of amplifying it. But hopefully things will calm down. My family and my children, my wife and my children are staying at a friend's house. I'm staying elsewhere as well. So we're going to try to get everybody back together for the weekend and as we approach the holiday season. I have a daughter that's disabled, and I can listen to a lot of the president's comments and some of the names that he calls, and I don't appreciate it. I don't like it, but that's just how he is. But just this one slur, it was just the bridge too far, and it doesn't seem to matter. Other members of his administration have used it. He's using it to identify a political rival. There's just no place for it. And, it's time to be grown-ups. For God's sakes, we're leading, in this case, we're leading the state of Indiana. And in his case, he's leading the free world. There's many other words you can use if you need to voice your displeasure with someone.
So you heard what they had to say there. Now, Bannon, beyond the fact that he's worried about this, he believes that if the Democrats get in power, they're going to not only impeach Trump, but they're going to send a lot of these guys to prison. He 100% believes this, and he was speaking recently at some event. I don't know or remember the name of the event, but I want to play his comments because I think this ties into a lot of what's going on and a lot what we're going to see heading into the midterms. Take a listen to Steve Bannon here.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pass Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys he liked, and some of these institutions, I understand this is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it. And these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, the limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions, if we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever because you're never going to have another Trump.
So you heard what he had to say there. Now, I want to read a little bit of some of the things that I believe that the Democrats are going to go after the Republicans for, because the Democrats and the people in that coalition believe that the president has broken a lot of laws and has taken advantage of a lot of U.S. citizens, taken away some of their amendment rights. So I just want to read some of what the constitutional violations are, right, according to them. So let me just read through it. It says, specific constitutional violations compiled by CAP, lawmakers, the Democratic Attorney General Association, and Democratic Ford include but are not limited to challenging the right of anyone of color to be a U.S. citizen, despite the clear, blunt language of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment. It says all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they there reside. Then continues on. Trump lost a birthright citizenship challenge in the lower courts. His administration appealed it to the Supreme Court, and a ruling is expected by late June or early July. Using the Alien Act of 1789 to have ICE agents summarily remove and deport people, alleged Venezuelan gang members, without due process of law, as the Constitution's Fifth Amendment guarantees. Trump has flown some immigrants back to Venezuela, others to different locations in Latin America, and some to civil war-torn South Sudan and Africa. A Trump-named U.S. district judge in South Texas ruled against one AEA removal Trump ordered. The Ronald Reagan-named judge says the law can only be invoked in times of declared war or invasion or predatory incursion. An invasion is a military affair, not one of immigration, the jurist added. Millions of privacy violations, all to both gather information on individual Americans while also opening them up to the private greed of former Trump partner Elon Musk, then head of named Department of Government Efficiency Tink. And then the article just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. What are my thoughts about this? I think that Steve Bannon has a point. I think he has a point. If you look at some of these races that we've been that we've been watching, some of these special elections, a lot of it is trending towards the Democrats. If you look at the president's approval rating, it's plummeting, even from people that voted for him. Right? People don't like the way things are being handled. People, of course, are not happy with the price of groceries, and the president seems to be saying that, oh, this is just really, this is your imagination. You're not really experiencing the things that you're experiencing. And after a while, people are like, yeah, but Mr. President, we voted for you, but our lives are not getting any easier. As a matter of fact, they're getting harder. And I think that the more that the president tries to ignore these issues, it's going to come back and bite. You're already seeing that in the polling. But if the Democrats take over the House and the Senate and they absolutely destroy them in the midterms, you're going to witness something that we haven't witnessed before, because they want blood. They're coming. Look, let's not pretend like the Democrats are not out for Trump. They are. Right? They are. The president doesn't like them, and they don't like him. They're now beginning to shift the way that they do things. In the past, the Democrats always seem to be, we're above the fray. We're not going to engage in the mudslinging. And a lot of their supporters are like, look, that's not going to work. They're like, you have to fight fire with fire. So being diplomatic and acting like as if, we just want to be the diplomats here, we're not going to be, that's not working anymore. People want to see the Democrats fight back. It's one of the reasons why I believe, this is just my estimation, not saying that I'm some type of political scientist, but it's one of the reasons I believe that we saw a groundswell of support for Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, because he was different. He wasn't like skirting the issues. He was going directly at the president, his administration. And that's what people wanted to see. They want to see some strength. Whatever you may feel about the president, talking about Donald Trump here, one thing you can't take away from him is that he exudes strength, right? He's not messing around. When he says things, he means them. So you, as the party that's trying to seize power again, you can't go in there messing around. He's not playing with you guys. So you have to be nasty about it. You have to be brutal about it. But trust me, the Democrats are out for Trump, and no one should be surprised by this. No one should be surprised by it. It's politics, and they do not like him at all, and they're coming for him. If they seize power, you better believe they're going to try to. You better believe. Of course it's going to happen. And the president knows that. But the person that seems to know it even more is Steve Bannon. Now, Trump may be saying, hey, look, man, yeah, whatever, but 2028, I'm gone. But a lot of these other guys be like, what about us? Because they may try to throw us in jail in 2028. You heard what he said. You heard what he said. So this is a very serious issue. We're going to cover it to the best of our abilities. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about it? What are your thoughts on the Republicans rejecting the attempts to redistrict Indiana? Also, I want to know what you guys think about the show that we did, where you think we can improve. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to catch you on the next show. Peace.